All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to what should be the CTC YouTube channel, Competitive Team Championship. Unfortunately, today is not the CTC YouTube channel. I'm on the NLR Alex the G YouTube channel, which gives away who is commentating on this tonight. My name is Alex the G, and I will be taking you through this fifth round of CTC Division 2 today. And we are heading to the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Certainly a very, very interesting track to go racing at. And certainly as well, no stranger to this competitive team championship. We've already gone racing here last season, of course, in the single division competitive team championship, where TF Rudy for Talent Factory has come out on top after a late safety car that saw him pit for the soft compound tires. I believe after even being faked into pitting, he still managed to pull off the victory from about, I think, fifth place on the safety car restarts, just a few laps from the end. And certainly in general, this Jeddah Corniche circuit is promising to be a very, very interesting venue for this competitive team championship. In real life, of course, we've already had the 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as well, which of course was headlined massively by the Red Bull 1-2 that we did, of course, get, but after a very difficult start to life for Max Verstappen, as he had an engine issue in qualifying, which allowed his teammate Sergio Perez to get pole position and also win the Grand Prix on Sunday. 2022, a bit less controversial. We were still thinking we'd have a very good title fight between the Red Bull and Ferrari teams. Max Verstappen in the end did come out on top against Charles Leclerc after Perez again had started on pole position. And 2021, of course, the most controversial race perhaps of the 2021 season. Lewis Hamilton coming out on top over Max Verstappen after a battle that was certainly not the cleanest we have seen in Formula One. But at the same time, this track promises a lot of great racing. We've got three DRS zones on this circuit with three different detection points as well, of course. And through these three timing sectors, we should be aiming for around the low to mid 127s, I would assume, in qualifying, maybe slightly higher for the second division of CTC. But at the same time, yeah, we're certainly in for an interesting race here, as we will be running you through the lineups very shortly. We have, I believe, only one team that will be fielding one driver today, and that is WR Esports. After last week, they unfortunately failed to serve their one driver race ban. They will be serving it this time round and will be represented by Dan Sprain, I believe, who is also their manager in this tier. Yeah, whilst we are on this page, we can address the rest of the field as well and the rest of the championship standings, really, as GSP have made a massive leap after victory again for Dadopad. 2 victories on the bounce for the German. I believe he's been on the podium in every round as well. It's a very, very good performance. Currently racking up 52 of the team's 58 points and is sitting well clear, 16 points ahead of Max Power in the driver's standings as well. Well, he is on the grid again today. Dadopad will be racing alongside F1098 for the GSP German sim racing program, and I'm sure they have big ambitions in this second tier of CTC. XRT, of course, the new team, the new arrival after the folding of CRD, has been represented in here as well. We've got XRT King and XRT Blue D being the drivers today in those Haas colors. Team Ace being represented by Ace Grosjean and was supposed to be Jesla, but is replaced fairly late on by Ace Hero. So certainly two pretty quick drivers in that McLaren tonight. And certainly some to look out for, perhaps, as VRA, we've seen in their tweet as well, they have got two late replacements. Kaza and Shakalbas, they've been racing last time out as well, but have been thrown in very late on after Bob from the block and Not Sine, unfortunately, dropped out of the race for Virtual Racing Association. They've got As1 Esports scoring, I believe, 3 and 5 last time out. Elliott on the podium and one Robin in P5, I believe. This time we've got one Yassin in the one Ferrari and one Velbel the other Ferrari. So very interesting lineup for sure. Very quick as well around this fast and flowing track. Victor's Racing Team, the current team championship leaders by 11 points over GSP, fielding Max van der Geest and BRT Naud in this Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, which certainly will be very, very interesting. Max van der Geest, we know his strengths, currently 5th in the driver's standings, and certainly looking to get a good performance in again after last time has not been as great around for Victor's Racing Team. Still fairly satisfied, I would say, with how that went overall. GTZ will be represented by Cortez and Chico today, so a different lineup really. No reserves being fielded for them as well, but that Alfa Romeo is filled up already, so 2 drivers on the grid for them. Juventus Racing in the Alpine was supposed to be one Hadrick making his season debut, I believe, but unfortunately, to my knowledge, he has fallen ill. That means Slinky will be replacing the Belgian driver, while JR Sasha is back in the other driver's seat, which is certainly going to be very, very interesting. WR, as I said already, Dan, the only driver today, Dan's playing their manager, as the other driver lineup is unfortunately is blocked after the incidents that I believe a certain German driver has had for the team. As I've also just seen, GSP Play Tendo is actually replacing F10 here on fairly late notice because he's just dropped into the Aston Martin. So that means we've got the 19 drivers together, I do believe. Last but not least, the Williams, they're being filled up with Benelar Esports and Brent and Dennis representing the blue colours of Williams. So yeah, very, very interesting lineups here. And there are certainly very, very many good moments of racing to be built up on. And Evan Chenchik already in the chat, welcome on in, supporting Juventus Racing there in full force. The boys in blue in that Alpine car. How well will they be going this time around? Just 5 points behind As1 Esports in 4th place in the standings. Maybe they wanted a bit more out of those first 4 rounds, but it's certainly not lost at all here. And I can just see already how strong the support for Juventus Racing is, as was last time out, as was in every round. So can't wait to get this one underway. Get those viewers coming in as well, as qualifying is about to commence with competitive team championship tier 2. 4 rounds have been gone. 2 of them have been won by Dadopad. He's back on the grid again. But what can the other drivers do? I think this is going to be a big spectacle, even if it is most likely in dry conditions, but that will just promote the great racing with DRS as the drivers have now loaded into the lobby. Short qualifying here at Saudi Arabia. And will we have any surprises on the weather front? I would be hugely surprised. As you can see, well, no surprises. We are going to be heading into dry conditions. Costinia in the chat as well. Good night, my friend. Let's have a great race. Good luck to all teams. Good stuff from you. Some fair competition going on. Can't wait to get this underway as much as I am itching. So, yeah, let's just get this underway. This is going to be incredible. And I feel like the race is going to fly by due to this high-speed nature of the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Let's have a look quickly. Enable all the details necessary, and I believe we will be all sorted. Important notice, by the way, I have a drink for tonight, which is very, very important. So, cheers. But what I will do is I have to quickly change the positioning of the Twitch chat, YouTube chat. Sorry, I'm too used to streaming on Twitch. Position, I'm going to put it to probably top right, back again. So now we're going to be back and perfectly in time for the first driver to hit the track. Is it Sasha? Yes, it is indeed. Juventus Racing, the first team to be going out on the track on the Jeddah Corniche circuit. And by the way, you wouldn't see these pop-ups on your end. That's completely fine. It's just on my end that I can see that chat coming through. But from your side, everything will be clear cut. It just might be covering the timing tower, hence why I changed it back to the right-hand side. But JR Sasha, obviously earlier being part of Trust Esports, the French driver, is very much looking to get a good performance in. I believe he was on pole position for the season opener in Australia, but unfortunately did succumb to a lot of his mistakes, which I think has been the theme in general for Juventus Racing so far in this season. But even still, we know how good their pace is, and certainly they will be a big contender tonight for the win. I believe Slinky is actually on the track right behind him, just about 2 or 3 corners afterwards. But for sure, this 27 corner circuit, it's really not as many braking zones as you would assume with that incredible amount of corners on this circuit. But as you can see, Sasha through the final bend, because I believe there is another 2 corners on this DRS straight. And as he now heads into what is the final turn, turn 27, we will be heading for the first qualifying lap in anger of this Jeddah Corniche circuit. And how well can Sasha manage it out here? Of course, the yellow flag just for him slowing down, preparing on that lap, now taking the longest possible line to get the most momentum. And into turn 1, we'll have a look. He'll be braking around that yellow thingy, 100-meter board. He will be braking down 3rd gear. Ooh, that's not an invalidation. That's very close there. And a very good run through the chicane immediately. Now, how much will he shift down for this blind corner? He's going to go down to 5th gear. Manages it very well, but now he has to keep this very steady to not get that back end stepping out. This is just fully 6th gear stuff. 5th gear shortly to get some rotation in. That was a very nice first sector from Sasha, very much on first attempt. Is that split time under 32 seconds? And how far? 31.8 for a very first attempt, slightly going across that white line on the inside of 13. We're already halfway through with the corners here. There's now another blind chicane coming. How well can he manage this one? This is very easy to cut, but he avoids it very well. Gets close to the wall on the exit. Now for this DRS straight, hopefully no car will get in his way, but I believe he is very much covered for this to happen. Will it stay under 1 minute in this split time? No, it won't. 1 minute 0.1 though. He's so close. So committed through 22 and 23. This is looking like a great bank up for Sasha. It's now enabling the DRS, staying as tight as possible to the wall on the left-hand side to minimize the distance. And now into 27, shortly past on the meter board, he'll be heading onto the brakes. And now the final apex, very nicely done. If he doesn't get his rear end kicking out, that will be an incredible banker from Sasha. Where will that put him? Of course it will put him first, but with what lap time? A 27.2. That is hugely impressive from the man in those Alpine colors. His teammate, 1 minute 0.5. So he's already so far off. He's 9/10 slower than his teammate. That's an impressive banker lap. Dan Sprain was across the line next, but hasn't been on a lap yet. Hirio has just started a lap as well. So very good start for the Juventus Racing man. King slots into 3rd for XRT, Experience Racing Team. His teammate is going to come across the line as well, slots behind him. That doesn't look all too competitive just yet. As Kaza on the mediums actually with a 29.6. Got the McLaren of Ace Grosjean just starting out on a lap. We've got Aston Martin, I believe, crossing the line next with Dadopad, of course, also on an outlap. So a lot of outlaps being done. Cortez is one on a fast lap and splits the 2 Juventus Racing drivers for now. But I feel like this is going to be very tough to topple. Yassin now goes into 2nd with this second 1 minute 27 time. That is now the 3rd, as now it goes 2nd for Victor's Racing Team. I believe we've got Playtendo now starting out on a lap as well for GSP. Now with the 2nd Red Bull coming though, I think that's Max van der Geest now around this final corner. And I haven't seen the split time, but I'd imagine he might just be quite a way off. Actually, he's within 2/10 of Sasha, so this is not over. This is actually going to be a big contest. Belvelby slots to P5 right behind his teammate for Asmon Esports. Benelary Dennis sets the slowest lap so far. with a 1:44.4. That is not representative of his pace at all. Next up, Ace Hero with that first run finishing 1 minute 0.7 though. He finds himself over 6/10 of the best first middle sector so far. 28.0 slots into P6. Mercedes crossing the line next. That'll be Shacklebast into the top 10 for the moment. Dansbrain, I think, now crossing the line is looks like he hasn't validated or started a new lap or something of the sort. Next up, we will have Ace Grosjean. 1 minute 0.4. It's a pretty good split time, I will say, but it won't trouble the very top as he goes actually P3 very, very closely. Actually splits the two VRT drivers. We've got Daddlepad, I think, next across the line. P3 for the race winner last time out, and also the race before that in Azerbaijan. And now the second Mercedes, I think Kazar is crossing the line, or he's heading into the pit lane. No, he does cross the line actually to start a new lap. I think Playtendo is next. That's the spin for Benelary Brent in a very awkward spot. Playtendo crosses the line. I wouldn't imagine he's got too much practice. 28.7, it does show there as he goes into P12 with his teammate in the top 3. And a very, very hectic amount of first runs will be coming to an end very, very shortly. I think Benelary Brent is the driver who will still come across the line, unless he was the one with that spin. He goes very wide into the final corner. You can tell he might not just have all too much practice either. As a Benelary Dennis out of the session. He's crashed. Yes, he's crashed there on the exit of 22.23. A very awkward way to crash there, I must say. But that is one Williams out of the equation already and will be confined to the back of the grid. But I, for myself, am very curious as to what Dansbrain can do here as the sole representative for WR Esports. Of course, Sieb already left the team after doing just the one race in Azerbaijan, as Dan into the pit lane, not setting a lap yet. Neither has Chico, who's currently on an out lap for GTZ, and Benelary Brent, who's just headed into the pit lane. But we're going to have to keep an eye on these drivers still coming. Grosjean into the pits, Daddlepad into the pits. I believe the Mercedes behind will do the same. So that's Shacklebast. No, it's Kazar. He's on the mediums actually, so he might actually be finishing his lap. But I do kind of doubt he does actually. He will be finishing the lap. 29.6, his previous best, now 28.9. He dips into the 28s, but onto the medium tyres, of course. There is more to come from the Mercedes man for the French team. Playtendo has run out of fuel, so he'll be slow back into the pit lane. I think he should be all right, of course, later on. But the closest now on a hot lap will be GTZ Chico, one of the three who hasn't set a lap yet. Dennis, of course, will stay in 16th for the moment with a very unrepresentative lap time, unfortunately for him. 44.4, because that is 17 seconds off the pace and not representative of his pace at all. Let's have a look at Chico then. Of course, I believe is one of his first appearances in this season for GTZ. Takes this first sector very nicely, I will say. Pretty gingerly overall, but still a very solid run for Chico. As he's now into this first sector split. You can see 6/10 slower than Sasha. The commitment from the French driver for Juventus was incredible on his qualifying lap. And that's just his banker, remember. There might be more to come. Can we even dip into 26s? You never know. As that was highly impressive, hugely impressive from the Frenchman. But will he be able to convert this kind of pace into the race, get that rhythm down, and manage a good result for his team? We will be finding out in due course. 1 minute 1.3 for GTZ Chico. I believe we've got a lot of drivers soon going onto their fast laps. I'm just being told it's actually Chico's first F1 game, his first year on the F1 game, which is, well, you can tell that is a pretty good improvement, I will say, due to the fact that it is his first game, getting used to all of this, and he's already racing in this very good event in CTC Division 2. The only driver without a lap. Now he's going to cross the line, goes to 13th, which of course I would say is up for improvement. But certainly, I think a lot of drivers already back on laps. We've got Hero perhaps. No, Hero's on an out lap. I can't quite tell who is actually the first on a fast lap. Thanks very much, Evan, for that one. Very much appreciated. I'll always take any advice on board, but yeah, it's always great to see the support coming in from chat for whatever you're doing. But I think one of the first drivers on a fast lap at the moment, Max van der Geest, for the VRT team. We'll have a look at Sasha as well. He's invalidated, so he has made a mistake on his fast lap. We'll keep on board with the team championship leaders, but he has invalidated as well. and that is very, very tight. Let's have a look. He is backing off, yep, so no sector time coming in there. Grosjean has just started out on a lap. Naud is also starting out on a lap as well for VRT. So has XRT King, who's actually just finished one. Goes up to P6 for Experience Racing Team. Good stuff. One Yassin, 1 minute dead. Literally 1 minute dead. So unfortunately validated, but certainly would have been very much up there. Slinky now, 31.9 in the first sector, not quite matching his teammate, but very, very close to that first sector split. 28.1, I'd assume, is a bit disappointing for Slinky at this stage, but we'll head on board now through this chicane. It's so important to get this commitment now going through the end. That looked very, very nice. He taps the wall on the exit. Hopefully no damage. I would say no, though. There's no damage probably involved on that Alpine car. Now through these fast spins, Cortez is out of the session. What has happened there? That is very, very unusual. 1 minute 0.3 for Slinky. So not the fastest split time, but I think he could still trouble those very, very top positions. Where's that Alfa Romeo on the circuit? It's placed conveniently slightly off the racing line. Slinky heads for this early run through the turn 27. Wow, super tight apex for the Dutchman there. And now across this start-finish line, where will he slot that Alpine? Slinky goes up to P3, about 3.5 tenths behind his teammate, but he is right there. VRT Naud has invalidated, so no lap coming at this stage from him. We have a Mercedes, I believe, coming to the line soon, but it looks like he's starting a lap. XRT King heading into the pit lane. And VRA Kazar and Chaco Bass. Let's have a look. Chaco Bass is actually finishing 1:28.1, improves by 1.111 seconds. GSP Playtendo gets half a tenth behind his teammate. And 4 and 5 now for GSP. Very, very good stuff. Sasha indeed has gone again, but he hasn't validated. So I would assume he's back into the pit lane. Daddlepad into P2. He's on the front row. The race winner last time out and the race before too. The dominant Drivers' Championship leader is on the front row again as it stands 200th ahead of Max van der Geest. But still nobody challenging Sasha in front, who is just very much clear. About 0.17 seconds ahead of the rest at this stage. Ben-Laurie Brent, I think, is one on a fast lap. He's the first one to finish it very, very soon. VRT Naud has left the session. Hopefully he can join back, of course, for the sake of his team. And the team championship going on still, which VRT are leading by 11 points. Ben-Laurie Brent now improving massively at this final sector. 14th only for him. 6 tenths behind the nearest car there. Ben-Laurie Brent into 14th. For the Williams. I think Slinky then next is going to be heading into the pit lane. I've got Dansbrain. I think he'll be one to finish a lap fairly soon, but that does not look all too competitive. It's a shame to see WR Esports so far down in this competition so far, but they'll be looking to up their ante right here. Kazar goes up to 14th with the 28.6 for Virtual Racing Association. And then very, very shortly, the hectic final runs will be commencing. There's a yellow flag at the moment due to Chaco Bass running out of fuel. So we'll see very, very shortly how much there is left on the clock. 4.5 minutes for the teams and for the drivers to get the fastest lap times possible. Dansbrain, I think, is on one right now. He's not invalidated somehow, so he must have lifted off massively. 32.3, it's about half a second shy of that first sector of Sasha. But I don't think he'll be expecting to challenge properly at the top in that AlphaTauri for WR Esports. Still, we can have a look, again going on board now through this fast chicane, and it looks like he's managed it fairly well. That was actually very committed on the second part of that apex, and Dan might just be on for something as he was looking to at least maybe pop into that top 10. He'd need a 1:27 lap time for that, and the middle sector split 1:01.0 is certainly quite a way off the pace, and yeah, has invalidated as well on the exit of 23. Shame for him, as I think we've got 2 cars who've run out of fuel on the circuit at the moment, which is Ben-Laurie Brent and VRA Kazar. So 2 drivers, 2 cars out of fuel. Got an Alfa Romeo as well. That is Chico, currently in 16th, who is on an out lap already. So going against the cycle, really. Trying to get that lap in early, perhaps to avoid traffic and just have a clean lap in there. But as you can see, that might just not work because JR Sasha, Juventus Racing, already out on the circuit. A Ferrari behind that as well. 9 and 10. One of the Ferraris is next. Indeed, one Yassin will be the next driver then. The calm before the storm. I would be careful with using the word storm at this stage, but no further comments will be made. I'm Yeah, I'm taking this a bit too far, but you get me. This is indeed very much the calm before the storm, and I can't wait. These final runs are going to be super, super tense. The drivers will be bringing out their best shape one more time, as I think Chico will have a look at him at this moment in time, because he'll be the first driver on this final run, and currently in 16th. Maybe he can get a bit more out of that Alfa Romeo. But for sure he'll be on probably the weaker end of this grid. I don't think anybody will really be ashamed of admitting this, as he's just not quite been on the pace. But at least he can try for himself to get a good result. And of course for GTZ, which are currently actually in P6 of the team standings. He's just 0.03 shy of his first sector split at this stage. But I think soon our attention will have to turn to the provisional pole sitter, JR Sasha, who's just in the final sector now and about to commence his final lap. Chico's around, exiting this quick chicane. That is probably it for his qualifying session. And actually, Sasha has let Yassin, whether intentional or not, Yassin is ahead. And that means Yassin is the very first driver to commence the final runs of qualifying. Let's have a look now. This Ferrari man, currently in P9, maybe he's just expecting a tiny bit more from himself. Yassin, of course, one of the fastest drivers from As1 Esports, along with maybe drivers like Mobarak and the likes, who's currently leading, I think, the F3 standings in PSGL. But Yassin is definitely another one to look out for in these Ferrari colours. That looks so committed from the Frenchman. And through this final bend of the sector, he has managed it. What is his first split time? It's a 31.9. He's about a tenth shy of Sasha, but we'll have to look at his split time too. He's coming through now. Sasha is on a 31.7. He's improving by another well over a tenth of a second. Sasha is looking so good for this pole position, but we'll be going back to Yassin for the moment to see if he can challenge that Frenchman in the Juventus Racing Alpine car. Yassin now on this second DRS straight. He's got a car in front of him. Hopefully no disruptions here, as Yassin through the middle split, 1 minute 0.2. He's slightly down on Sasha still. Sasha is looking like the favorite for pole position here. Now this is incredible stuff. Let's have a look at Sasha's split. 59.8. He is incredible. He might be heading into the 26s here, which would be hugely impressive. Yassin is now into the final corner, turn 27. That Mercedes will not be getting into the way. Is there at least a chance for a short takeover on provisional pole from that Alpine? Yassin crossing the line now. He goes up to fourth, but JR Sasha, he's invalidated. He's done. That is so unfortunate. No improvements coming from him. Next up, we've got a Haster. I think XRT King, no, that is Bloody, who's next, as Chico has retired from the session. And Bloody is the next to cross the line. That didn't look like the cleanest final corner, I will say. But Bloody crossing the line doesn't improve on his position. McLaren, Ace Grosjean is done now. Into P7, got a Red Bull crossing the line next. Max van der Gies puts it onto the front row for the moment. Next up, we've got Ace Hero, perhaps one of the fastest drivers, stays P11. Next up then is the Alfa Romeo, I think. No, that is the Ferrari actually, who has finished the lap. XRT King will be the next to cross the line. Experienced racing team in that Haas. Look at him, P5 into the top 5 for the moment. Daddlepad has actually not improved. Daddlepad is P3 at best. Playtendo is at P6 for the moment. We have VRT now crossing the line, P8. In that Red Bull. Got the AlphaTauri coming off Dan Spray, and he's validated, so no laps coming from him. And then we've got Shacklebast, I think one of the final drivers to cross the line, P13. And now, pole position with his banker lap time, JR Sasha. That was hugely impressive. He is going to be starting from pole position with Max van der Gies. Starting on the front row alongside him. Daddlepad manages to hold on to third. I think Yassin is not getting any more laps down, of course. He'll be starting in fourth alongside the Drivers' Championship leader. XRT King, P5. So very good qualifying effort. And just 6/1000ths off the second row of the grid. Playtendo playing a good role in supporting his teammate in P6. For German Sim Racing Program. Slinky, slightly disappointing maybe for him, in P7, sharing the fourth row of the grid with VRT Naud. And rounding off the top 10, Ace Grosjean and one Bell B. And that actually rounds us off nicely, because these are the only 10 drivers in the 127s. Ace Hero in P11 alongside GTZ Cortez in the Alfa Romeo. Shacklebast and Kazar are sharing the 7th row of the grid for the VRA team. Brent and Chico will be lining up alongside each other on the 8th row for Ben Laurie and GTZ, with XRT Bloody in P17. Dennis crashing out fairly early on, will be starting 18th for Benelor Esports, and then Dance Plane without a lap time set is the last driver on this grid. And what a quali session has just concluded here. Here you got your full results. JR, Juventus Racing are on pole again. We saw what happened last time, so while of course pole position is a very good position to start, it's the extra point again, remember, of course, for Juventus Racing. It's the race where it all counts. And the Jeddah Corniche circuit is very, very known to be hitting out at drivers for the penalty standards. So this is certainly going to be one to keep an eye on. And Daddlepad in P3 is certainly lingering there as well. It's just 11 points for the team championship lead, while the championship leaders are starting 2nd and 8th with Max van der Geest and Naud. And the nearest challenger, GSP, 3rd and 6th, Daddlepad and Playtendo. And here we go then. It's very overcast, which I find super surprising, but it doesn't look like rain's on the radar. It's almost race time at the Jeddah Corniche circuit for CTC Tier 2. And who's going to be taking home the victory here? Of course, Juventus Racing are out in full force in the chat, supporting their drivers, starting on the pole position and in P7 with Sasha and Slinky. But I think with this DRS games and the track in general being as treacherous as it is, there is certainly a lot to look out for. And I think a chaotic race is not at all out of the equation here at all. 25 seconds left on the timer, and CTC will be getting underway. Tier 2. Who's going to be coming out on top in this one? I'm so excited to see who is going to be on top. And I hope you're just excited as I am. 10 more seconds on the counter, and then we will find out who is the best driver here in CTC. And the 5 red lights are now coming on ahead of the drivers. CTC Tier 2 in Jeddah is very much underway right now, and there has been a jump start at the back or something of the sort, but it looks like a good start from Max van der Geest, who's actually got straight into the lead from Sasha in P2. Daddlepad has held P3 for the moment. King and Yasin are side by side for 4th and 5th. Oh, there's a spin. I think that's Naud. Naud is around at the back. He's out of the race. That's one driver out already for VRT, while the other has taken the lead. Virtual safety car after just one sector of racing. And another spin there. Cortez has been caught napping and he has spun around. Doesn't look like a safety car for the moment, but now I can go about enabling all the detail that is needed, which is, of course, the position changes for the moment. We'll quickly flick onto the tyres, as we've got most of the drivers, of course, on the hard compound tyres, mediums for Bell B, Brent, and Dance Brain. But the rest on the hard compound tyres. For now, we'll be going on to the position change until we've got a cleaner and quieter phase of the race. In fact, many drivers holding position of this race start. Max van der Geest, crucially, is leading after the starting phase, and I think we might be getting underway with this fairly soon. So that is a big break, and look at this. Sasha is pulled straight into the lead. Daddlepad has got a big chance. Dance Brain is out of the race as well now for WR, and this could be causing a safety car here. Daddlepad looks like he's through on Max van der Geest. He's lost out massively on this safety car restart. Sasha is back in the lead after starting on pole. Daddlepad in 2nd, and Max van der Geest is not done with this yet. He's going to be challenging the German driver, the championship leader in the driver standings, but it looks like he can't make anything work into 27. Sasha will be concluding this first lap in the lead of the Jeddah Grand Prix, and very exciting times of this race start. Van der Geest initially jumping Sasha for first place and then losing out massively on this restart. Slinky at the back, they're trying to make a move, or actually being challenged by Belvaby on the medium tyres, who's on the inside. I think Slinky thinking better of it, backing off of the move for the moment, and Belvaby through into 7th. He's going to be very strong, of course, at the start of this race, as he is one of the biggest gainers, 3 places up from his starting position of P10. We've got Benaroy Brent making up 5 places to run in the top 10 at this stage. Kazal making up 3 positions. Blue Team making up 4, but having a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. He's got a wing change going on for GTZ Chico and the medium tyres too. But this is certainly the very, very interesting situation to look out for here. Dadopad, the Drivers' Championship leader, has been on the podium in every race this season, and he's going to be challenging Juventus Racing Sasha, who's claimed such a dominant pole position. And this is definitely going to be a very interesting contest. Now, these drivers having to push to the absolute limit. Did you see how close they are all getting to the walls? Oh, we're in for a treat here, aren't we? So a fair few drivers holding position off this race start. Nauda's now left the session. What a shame for him. This race lasting just 2 corners after everything that has occurred. 4, 5 and 6 holding their positions. Yassine King and Platendo there holding the position. And so has Sasha after what was a very, very weak start initially. But then an even weaker restart on the safety car phase from Max van der Gies. Safety car is now enabled. Safety car? What? Apologies. DRS, of course, now enabled. I don't know how I just got onto that one. And Dadopad is looking very quick here behind Sasha. But of course, it will be all about keeping this rhythm, this consistency. And, well, in the end, maybe even being able to gap those guys behind Dadopad. Purple first sector at this stage. But it's definitely subject to change, I would say, as a Sasha. He'll be trying to break a gap. He hasn't used all too much of his ERS, but definitely will be using some of it, I would imagine, to try and get away from that Aston Martin. As again, that might have been a wall tap from both the top 2, and Max van der Gies is struggling to hold on to this, which is pretty surprising to see, if I may say so myself. Right now, he is actually out of DRS range from the top 2. Dadopad is well in range of Sasha and looks like he may be able to challenge here. Dadopad is already going for this, whether he wants it or not. Maybe he doesn't even. He's to the outside now, into turn 27. Dadopad is through for the moment, but will there be a counter-attack from Sasha, from the pole sitter, from the race leader for the first 2 laps? It doesn't look like it. Dadopad is slightly deep into 27 though, so Sasha might be able to have a word here. And will he be trying to go for this race lead into turns 1 and 2? Dadopad goes slightly defensive. Sasha dives this to the inside line, and it looks like he can get this done if he manages to hold it around the outside. No, he's off the track, and Dadopad is through. He's in the race lead now, and Max van der Gies, that will have helped him ever so slightly, but I think he is struggling for pace, and those top 2 are looking very assured of their craft at this moment. Spies are back in the chat again for GSP. Great to see you out here again. And he is very much rooting for his driver there. Wow, Sasha with a big slide on the exit of 13. And that's what I meant as well with that consistency. You might be quick in qualifying. This is not a hit against any driver, by the way. But you can be quick in qualifying. But that rhythm in the race, in the end, is absolutely crucial. What will Sasha now do about the fact that he has lost the lead momentarily? Will he be trying to regain it immediately, or will he be just holding back behind the Aston Martin, trying to apply the pressure, maybe put him off enough to get a time penalty going for that Aston Martin? I think only 1 penalty has been awarded to him so far, as that Alpine is looking very, very racy. Max van der Gies looks like he has recovered from his weak phase on this very, very start of the race, and is now very well in range as well. Dadopad, I'm not too sure what's going on there. That does not look very natural to me at all, because that is a spin on the main straight. Sasha is back in the lead, but that did not look very, very natural to me whatsoever. Dadopad has dropped back massively now and is down into P12 outside of the points. Oh, that might be worth a look by whoever is involved with this, which that did not look like anything that is supposed to happen on this game. JR Node, what happened? Good question. I would very much like to know myself. That is just such a shame to see Dadopad drop so far down through what looks like no fault of his own. Max van der Gies now, of course, is the main challenger for Sasha. And Yassine is trying to gap King from XRT. He's trying to get back in this DRS range. He has managed it for the moment, but certainly is not going to be an easy task. It looks like the top 3 might just be gone very, very soon. What a shame to see Dadopad drop out of contention there. Dadopad went left but teleported to the right. That's exactly what it looked like to me. But this just didn't look like it's something that was really supposed to happen. Even on a game as broken as this, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's just a big, big shame to see that Aston Martin drop so far down. That now means we have a new situation for this race lead. We already have, of course, one driver for VRT out with Naud. We've got Juventus Racing, Sasha currently leading. Slinky is still in P7 after allowing, I think, Bellwell through for the moment. Lag maybe? Yeah, I suppose so. That is probably the likeliest cause. Currently no battles really going on in this mid-fight. As you can see, Bellwell currently holding back a little bit against Playtendo, who, of course, as Dadopad's teammate, is moved up into P5. Which is a very good effort from him, I must say. After qualifying already in a pretty good 6th position, he's now up to P5. Well, I wouldn't judge yet on the Dadopad incident at this stage. I'm just an advocate. I'm trying to cover the action here as well as I can, so I can't say anything really about the Dadopad situation with Sasha. But whatever it will be covered probably by the stewards in the end of at the end of the day. Beneloric Dennis picks up the first 3-second penalty of this race, and that'll be a big thing, I think, overall in the race as well. Sasha is trying to pull the gap here, and looks like he might just be able to do it against Max van der Gies. Max van der Gies has now seen it and has reacted. No, he's not actually. He will probably stay in DRS range, or has he? Has he managed to stay in range? No, he hasn't. Sasha has played this to perfection, is now trying to pull away as much as he can, using some of that ERS battery. Will Max van der Gies be able to pull back into range? I'm not too sure. I haven't quite seen the DRS detection point. I think he might have just been able to get in, but has now not had the best of final corners. We'll see, though. He has that rear wing flap open, so Sasha is still under pressure here. And that is definitely not done whatsoever. The first stint, of course, not done in the slightest. The medium tires, though, they do wear out very, very quickly. So I think there won't be any pit stops probably before lap 12, something like that. They don't want to be doing too many laps on the yellow-walled tires. So all of those currently on the hards will still be going a fair while. Yassine is pretty struggling, actually, a fair bit to hold on to the back of the Red Bull. That might... Oh, Sasha might have been slightly wide. I'm just making assumptions here. He's losing a fair bit of time. So I think Sasha might have just been a bit wide. Dadopad now picks up a 3-second penalty to add to his frustration of that early strange incident that I can't comment on at all. Shame for him. But there's still a fair way in this race to go, and we know just how it can go here in Jeddah. Sector 1, there's the yellow flag. That's Chigo, I believe, around exiting the second corner of the race. VRT got a S ton of straight line speed, according to Evan, which I suppose I'll just take your word for it, because it doesn't look like they are particularly quick in the corners. But Max van der Gies just gaining all of this back on the straight, as you can quite clearly see right now. As the gap is going below 4/10s, I would say, into this braking zone. Just about over 4/10s, actually. And yeah, this is definitely not over at all. Big challenge it will be for Sasha to hold on. Playtender already flashing that red light, so he's struggling to hold on to this top 4, which I have to say, King has recovered very well into there for XRT. Now finding himself in P4 behind one Yassine. We've got some pit stops going on already. Ace Hero, that must be a wing change for the McLaren. Yes, indeed. Which puts Dadopad back into the points, and Cortez 1 position closer to them. Benelari Brent so far in P8. Very, very impressive. Cancelling can get P2 already. I mean, currently down in P7. He hasn't made the progress, I would say, that he would have wanted to, because even with multiple errors and whatever incident it was, he's still down there in P7. Look at how close he is, though, to Belvin. Those mediums are not looking all too great at this stage. Mediums are dying, according to Evan. I would say so as well, because Belvin dropped out of DRS range. That will allow Slinky, and that will invite Slinky to try and make an overtake. Bumblebee's now using his battery to get back into range, but I just don't think he'll be able to hold on for much longer. Oh, misses his turning point as well. He's turned it too early, I would say, and has now, I think, lost DRS for good on this next straight. No, he hasn't. He has not lost the DRS, but Slinky, with so much more battery, I think that'll be an easy move indeed for the Alpine man. Goes up to P6, and will now have to do probably a fairly big job to catch up to Playtendo in front, who at least himself doesn't have any battery left. So at least that'll be making it a little bit easier for Slinky to catch back up to the top 6. And of course the undercut is very much a topic around Jeddah, and they'll be having a look at that as well. Ben Brent is in now, the first medium tyre driver to stop in this race. And therefore that will be onto the hards and going probably all the way to the end. Dadopad is now on the back of Kazar, not the position he would have been wanting to be in on lap 9, but we'll see later on what kind of incident we have seen there. Slinky now pushing his ERS to get into DRS range off this top 5 leading train, and I think he will be able to drop into the range very, very soon. Could there be some damage maybe at play for Slinky, because he's losing some time in the corners? Of course, he could just be set up for pretty low wings and for those straight lines, but it doesn't look all too quick even in general, because he hasn't quite made it, I think, into DRS range. Or, well, correct me if I'm wrong now, as here is the detection point. No DRS for Slinky. He will be in for the next DRS zone, but I think it was just 1,000th out of DRS range. It's a skill issue according to Evan, fair enough. I won't comment any further on that, because I'm in a lower PSGL tier than him. Dadopad actually makes a move to the inside of 22, which is very interesting to see, though Kazar, I think, will be having a word on that. He's got the DRS range on the Aston Martin, but maybe there is no move going on after all. VRA seeing that this fight is not a fight worth fighting out. And yeah, looks like indeed Dadopad now trying to recover as much ground as he can. What a shame to see. I'm saying it again and again, but you wouldn't want a driver to drop out of contention like this. Slinky now is back in DRS range. Playtendo is almost out of it. I think Playtendo is probably the weakest link in this top 5 train. As you can see, 9/10s, almost a second now. Playtendo, he will be out of the train fairly soon, and he's looking very, very much on the limit. Here now sets the fastest lap on a fresh set of mediums, and the pit stops, I think, will be happening soon for those on mediums. And otherwise, oh, we've got Bumblebee around. Bumblebee spins out of this middle sector, of this first sector, as Dadopad now moves out to P7. Kazar has moved past as well. And yes, I did say weakest link, because, well, I would agree with myself on that. As you can see, Slinky is 9/10ths off. He is still in that range. He's struggling a fair bit to actually stay in the range, but he is in it, crucially speaking. Dadopad behind has actually gapped Kazar to the DRS, it looks like. So right now, Sasha is in a fairly big gap here. He's picked up DRS actually from GTZ Chico. Well, that is very, very interesting. And that could actually help him a little bit from with trying to pull away from Max van der Geest. Belbo be now struggling on this set of mediums. I think he might have to pit on this lap along with actually nobody, just figured, because I thought there was another one on the mediums, but no, Belbo is the only driver left on the start medium tyre, and yes, he is diving into the pit lane for a new set of the hards, which will take him to the end of this Grand Prix. Sasha, though, that DRS has helped him out a lot. He has now had to get through, quite literally through the lap traffic of the Alfa Romeo, which might have compromised him slightly, but the same awaits Max van der Geest, who's now trying to do this on the straight, and thankfully for himself, he has actually managed it, but will Yassi be able to do the same in P3 for As1 Esports? It's been slightly wide on the apex of 13, definitely not the best line. King has managed to stay in DRS as a result. Playtendo just about as well. But I'll say it again here, unfortunately, he does look like he's probably the weakest link in this top 5 train. And top 6 train, actually, with Slinky right behind. That might actually hurt Slinky a tiny bit if you think about it, as that will make him very much struggle to hold on. How are you doing, Alex? I'm doing good, Mike. I am very, very excited to see how the second half of the race plays out, because look at it, it's already going to be lap 12 once Sasha crosses the line, and that's just how fast the laps go by here in Jeddah. Hope you're all doing well, too, of course, in the chat. As very, very good to see the support flying in from everybody. Playtendo, I think, is now out of DRS range. That will not help the cause for Slinky. But I think Playtendo losing DRS might be very, very crucial to how this race goes. It looks like King might be dropping out fairly soon too for XRT, unless Yassin keeps making these small errors, which he appears to be making, which is a shame to see, because this kind of breaks up this nice train that we've had. It's now more like a top 4 train, which I assume would soon become a top 3 train because of King really struggling with this back marker there. Looks like no bigger issues, but he's going to have to use much more ERS than he would want to. Slinky will pass this lap, I guess. Again, I'll probably take your word for it, because Slinky needs to make this position now on Playtendo, and he's probably going to do it on this next straight down into turn 27. Playtendo very lucky there, actually, to get the DRS off the Alfa Romeo, so it looks like Slinky will not be able to do all too much, depending on the exit of Playtendo there onto the next straight. Very lucky escape for the German driver. But I think even still, Slinky is looking very much in this race. Kazar, 3-second penalty, but he's actually P8 at this stage. And yeah, indeed, Playtendo, DRS of a lapped car. There is no position to be made just yet. Sasha is in already. Sasha is in from the race lead. King is in as well for XRT. Slinky is alongside Playtendo, and I think the move might be done. Oh, contact! Oh, big save from Slinky. That is a penalty. Yep, I saw that coming already. That corner cut has given him a 3-second penalty. We'll see how legitimately they'll obviously go over it. But a time penalty for the moment. Now, where is Sasha coming out in relation to the field? It's fairly clear air, depending on how long that Mercedes is staying out. King as well, of course, staying out long. That will get removed. Well, yes, it depends on the warning situation after this. Do not count that out whatsoever. Sasha, though, has come out in fairly clear air. He's got a Mercedes 2 seconds in front of him. And for his sake, he will be hoping that he's coming into the pit lane as soon as absolutely possible. Max van der Gies is now leading this race, of course, and he's overcutting. You can see the ERS usage from the Red Bull man. He is trying to mean business here with the Juventus Racing Alpine, currently down in P7. But it looks like he is very much on for a good lap here. And the in-lap is so crucial around here. The tyre warm-up takes much longer than you would want. There's Williams in the first sector, slightly slower. As Midwich saying the Mercedes should stay out. Yeah, I guess there's a reason as to why you are saying this, for people. But Max van der Gies, I expect a reaction fairly soon from the Red Bull man. Probably the same for one Yassin. Max van der Gies is going to react immediately. So is Yassin. Will Playtendo be doing the same? Yes, he will. Slinky is in too, probably to his annoyance. And Daddlepad, well, he'll be staying out due to his teammate, of course, pitting in. Daddlepad will be back in the lead for the moment and probably hoping for a safety car to come out at the perfect moment. Kazar is into the pit lane, crucially for Sasha. And now this is going to be very important to find out. Where is Max van der Gies feeding out in comparison? He is maybe going side by side. Oh, tight stuff. Max van der Gies might just be in the lead here. But this first sector is going to be so painful for the Red Bull. Max van der Gies is in front. He has successfully completed the overcut on the Alpine. But look at how slow he's going now. Sasha is to the outside. He's now on the inside. Oh my word. That is incredible. Max van der Gies has held the lead and will have fresher tyres on this second stint. Yassin is in P3 and right there in DRS range. Of course, that is effective P3 at this stage. XRT King is right there as well. And Playtendo has definitely lost out the most here with Slinky right on his back already. But that gap to the top 4 is now almost 4 seconds and makes a comeback for Slinky very difficult. A yellow flag now. That is Ace Hero around on that older set of mediums. And that will not help his cause. I would imagine Sasha is actually through again on Max van der Gies. He's immediately done it on this DRS straight. And he's going to have to try to pull away as much as he possibly can. Max van der Gies, he is still on the back here. I wouldn't quite say it was unfair from him. It was very hard racing. But I think, in my opinion, it was still very fair as well. XRT King is right on the back of Yassin. No moves happening at this stage. Slinky is through on Playtendo, crucially for the Alpine man, and will be now heading into P5 as Daddlepad is into the pit lane and will be dropping back a few positions again. But that means Sasha retakes the lead of this race, but will have one lap on all the tyres. Ooh, this is a very interesting scenario to be in. And who's going to be coming out on top in this one? Just 11 laps to go in this Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. We haven't had a safety car yet either, of course, so that is still a factor that is very possibly coming into it. I don't want to call it, but it's very, very possible. So we'll have a look. Yassine holding down a podium position, also on fresher tyres than Sasha, as that could be a retirement, I think, for Dennis. No, he's actually just sped into the pit lane. Shame for him, but he's down in 16th position at this moment in time, so not going to matter too much to him. He is... Yeah, he's a fair bit away from the rest of the field, unfortunately for him. Yassine, though, it doesn't look like he can hold this pace. He doesn't have all that much ERS to his disposal. He's in the ERS range still, but definitely going to be having a very difficult time holding on to this slot. XRT King, I'm very impressed by him today, as he is very, very quick and holding on so well. Still in the race for this podium. And with 10 laps to go, time penalties are still in the equation as well. Of course, we've seen Slinky. That penalty is, of course, not fair, but he will only get removed if he stays fairly clean on the track limit side. So, of course, hoping for him that he will be able to do that. But if he can't, well, that would obviously not be ideal for him. Kazar is now through into P10. Max van der Geest might just be looking for a move. No, decides against it very late on. And Yassine is currently out of DRS range as a result. He's got barely any battery. Max van der Geest has got a lot. And look at Sasha. That red light is flashing. Currently, Max van der Geest is in the better position to maybe win this race. Oh, but yeah, it's now currently the pace. I would say the pure pace of JR Sasha against the big ERS advantage of that Red Bull with Max van der Geest. So, big scenario, very, very interesting going on as well. And could that be another Juventus Racing victory possibly taken away? XRT King now has dropped out of DRS range at this moment in time. So, experienced racing team, as well as they've been doing, he has not managed to retain the DRS range in this stage. But I think even still, he would be super happy with 4th position. Right now, though, he has actually pushed his ERS to go back into range of Yassine. Has he managed to do it, though? Has he lost too much time on the corner? Yes, he has. It looks like he's out for the moment. Yassine has also just about managed to stay in, but I don't think it'll be all too long before he drops out as well. That red light is flashing too on the Ferrari. Max van der Geest is looking all over the back of the Alpine. Juventus Racing are very much under pressure. Max van der Geest is not putting his battery in. Look, he's still going so quick on the straight, using the overtake mode a tiny bit. He's to the outside of turn 1. Sasha doesn't fight this all too hard, and it looks like Max van der Geest is now through into the lead of the race again. Dadelpad sets the fastest lap, showing the pace that he's got. But unfortunately has been denied by that early incident. He's now in P7 and running up to his teammate relatively soon. But it is a lead change now. Max van der Geest in P1 ahead of JR Sasha. Blue East, I think, one of the last drivers to head into the pit lane for their mandatory stops, to be heading on to the medium tyres. The lead has changed hands in this race. Max van der Geest is in P1. And with not too many laps to go, well, who is going to win this Saudi Arabia Grand Prix? Slink has only got one official warning at this stage. Well, there's 8 laps to go. So, while this may be true now, will it be true in 8 laps? We will have a look across this line. Oh, Sasha's round! Sasha's around! Big news for this race. And again, the qualifying pace. Yes, it is there for Juventus, but again in the race, it just seems to be falling apart slightly. Slinky now moves into 4th as a result, but Sasha, out of her net lead, pretty much at this stage, is down into P6, and now Dadelpad is right there. What an interesting scenario this is now, as Max van der Geest is romping clear in the lead of the race with much more ERS than his nearest rival, one Yassine. And XRT King is on the podium as well, which would be so fantastic to see. That's obviously broken up this leading fight ever so slightly. But Playtendo, I think, is probably the nearest to anybody. And it is actually... Am I drunk or am I seeing the same image twice here? Slinky and Playtendo, and they've got Dadelpad right behind JR Sasha. Again, the two have come to blows very early on. And it looks like Dadelpad now behind but it's definitely not done yet. 2 lap pressure tires, and that'll come into favor there right at the end. Yasin has picked up a penalty, and that promotes King into second right now. Effectively speaking, Cortez is fighting away here with Ace Hero into the first sector, and VRA Kazar's right there as well. Look at this fight. Hero is bottling up these two with his old medium tires, and this is allowing for a very interesting fight to go on here in this middle sector as they are just crossing the split line about now. Hero is currently holding down the position, but he will be having to pit relatively soon, I would imagine. And the two behind are just itching to get past that McLaren. Oh, Hero's been to the wall, I think. And the Alfa Romeo of Cortez will not be liking that sight at all. At least they are avoiding contact, which is great to see. Benelari Dennis now, 3-second penalty as well. Actually, for corner cuts. Oh, Kazas almost making the same mistake there as Sasha, who is not in range of anybody at the moment. Cortez still on the back of Hero. Will it happen on this straight? I think he might just have to look for this overtake. He's got 5 lap pressure mediums. He needs to make this move and try to pull away from that Mercedes behind. Cortez is coming, pulling out of the slipstream off the McLaren, and he's through into P8 now on the circuit. And it looks like this might be the end of the road for him, depending on how the drivers in front do. The 7 in front, which I would say are the 3 top teams. Actually, never mind, I didn't say that. We've got 1 VRT driver leading this race, Max van der Gies, 1.5 seconds in front of 1 Yasin, XRT King in P3, but effectively in second. So I think a lot of the chat might be rooting for the XRT driver there. We've got a spin in the first sector. As that is, oh, it's Sasha again. Was that perhaps contact? Was that another driver error from him? Has he got any damage? Not visual damage, at least. That promotes GSP though into 5 and 6. And oh, that might have been to the wall there as well, Daddlepad. So very difficult race. Actually, that's Playtendo. Apologies. Daddlepad finding himself 2.5 seconds behind his teammate. But now it's actually looking pretty interesting again in regards to the team championship. And look at how perfect this is going for Max van der Gies. He's now picking up the DRS again from the Alfa Romeo of Chico. And that will pull him a bit further away from Yasin, who's got a penalty to his name anyway. So it's gone about as swimmingly as Max van der Gies could have wished for, could have imagined. Now, of course, he has to head through that Alfa Romeo, which he manages to do nicely as well. Hasn't actually picked off the DRS, it looks like. Because they look to be completely equal across the split line. But that top 3 is very much inside of each other. Slinky, 2.5 seconds now behind XRT King. And can he make his way into the range here? At this stage, he would be dropping behind Playtendo, but it all depends on his warning situation. We've got Dennis around again in the middle sector. So not the best of races for Benelari. As wow, Max van der Gies is pushing so hard. He wants that victory, and I think Victor's Racing Team are definitely due a victory again. They've been putting on very consistent performances over the course of the season. 1 driver out, unfortunately for them. Max van der Gies holding that flag high as we've got another spin. Is that Benelari Brent there in the first sector? What a shame as well. He's been running in the points for a fairly long time, but has been swallowed up a little bit on those hard compound tires now. Daddlepad actually running up to his teammate here, so he might just be on to recover for a P5. And I don't think Playtender will be making a big fight out of this to help his faster teammate, I would say. He's pretty fair at this stage. He's recovered very well to maybe still finish in a top 5 position and retain the lead in the standings, because it's only well, nobody's really gaining apart from Slinky. So it's going to be an even bigger lead now for Daddlepad. And if he can ensure himself a P5, that would, of course, become even bigger, because now he's running up to his Aston Martin teammate of GSP Playtendo. And I would imagine he will not make it all too difficult, will the former German. And it looks like, indeed, it will be a move going on. Playtendo is making the space for his teammate. Daddlepad moves into P5. And there we go, we've got that position swapped down and covered as well. Daddlepad P5, Playtendo P6 has done a very good race, which we have to admit here. He's done very well in this Grand Prix so far, to hold himself in the top 5 for so long. But now, of course, with all these errors and incidents happening, the gaps have been pulled apart very much to the stage where everybody is 2.x seconds away from each other in the top 5. And Playtendo is really the first one joining this queue. Slinky race pace is very good, if I can translate that into slightly professional language. Indeed, it does look pretty good. 2.0 seconds now. Benary Brent picks up a time penalty for his off-track excursions. 3 seconds will be added to his final race time. And, well, no safety cars in this race. And it's flown by a little bit. The last few laps have been not quite as dramatic with these mistakes slightly pulling apart the opposition. Max van der Gies is in a very short lead. Look at this, 2.8 seconds, almost 3 seconds clear. One XRT, Blue D, I should say, picking up 3 seconds, but down in P14. So not going to matter, of course, too much to his race standing. Max van der Gies, I have a feeling he's just pulling away more and more. He's kind of playing with the opposition, and of course helped by the fact that nobody here has got the DRS and ERS as well. Yasin, of course, is flashing that red light for quite a while now. I think so is XRT King, realistically. Slinky, though, he is as well. So even if he does want to make a move on XRT King, if he can catch up in these last 4 laps, he will be having a hard time, I would say, to make the overtake and be able to move himself up, because no ERS, no DRS for anybody involved as well. So I think the fuel situation for everyone seems to be fairly clear. Yes, indeed, nobody running low on fuel, so very good for them, of course. Jeddah not being the most difficult track for fuel consumption, of course. Ace Hero is actually trying to go to the end here, if I'm seeing this correctly. He's on 14 lap-old medium tyres. I'm not surprised if there might be a blowout still coming late in this Grand Prix. Shackelbass has actually put it for the softs because of a wing change. Yeah, there you go. That's the explanation then. So that looks like a mandatory stop, of course, for the French driver. 15th place only for VRA, so not ideal. If you're Kazar, fairly close to the point still. But with a penalty and still 2 seconds behind Belbobby, it's not looking all too great. At the moment, Max van der Gies is about to start the final 3 laps of this Grand Prix. Ace Grosjean the next to pick up a penalty, but he himself is down in 14th, so it probably won't matter all too much for the race results. I think Max van der Gies, they're pulling away slightly by just about a tenth of a second. XRT King keeping himself in range as well as possible, but not being helped there by the lapped car, by the lapped Alfa Romeo of GTZ Chico. XRT King, 2.5 seconds behind Yasin. He might just be on for a second place here, which would be a fantastic opening for Experience Racing Team. After not being able to score last time out, that would be extremely impressive. One thing I have to point out, Daddlepad is almost in DRS range of Slinky. How fast is this guy? It looks like Slinky is slightly being hit by the tyre wear, and Daddlepad has almost made it into range. So if he pulls this off, I would be hugely impressed by the German, who's had to make such a big comeback after an inexplicable incident, basically, at the start with Sasha, who himself is actually behind Daddlepad as well out of all this. So yeah, tough stuff here. Safe to say VRT versus GSP for the championship. It looks like it for the moment, because it is 1 point scorer there only for VRT, but he is winning this race. 2 more laps to go, and the gap is 4.1 seconds. But look at it. Indeed, Slinky, I think he's managed to get the DRS there off the Alfa Romeo, which is going to help him a lot. Daddlepad has not managed it. Crucially, for his sake, he might just be able to get it off the Alfa Romeo himself if he goes fast enough into this final turn. Just looks like he does manage it. So I don't think it's over yet for Slinky, but it still depends on the warning situation, of course, for the Dutchman there in P4 on the road. Otherwise, we don't have all too many battles really going on. Hero is holding on to his mediums for dear life, and is actually right on the back. GTZ Cortez has driven a completely quiet race, but is up in P8 and will be able to score some points for the team. Will be enabling the penalty detail for the moment. Everybody has got 3 seconds, with Yasin, Slinky, who currently will get it removed at this stage. Daddlepad 3 seconds, Cortez, Hero, Kazar, Brent, Grosjean, and then we've got 6 seconds for Blue D and 15 for Benori Dennis. Make that 18 actually, to be perfectly colored to him when he does get a penalty. The pace of Daddlepad is extremely impressive. Wow, the slide is as well there for the German. We will not be seeing him on the podium today, which is going to be a first actually this CTC season. No podium for GSP or for Daddlepad in that matter. But Max van der Giest, He's on the final bend of this lap 24 and will be heading to the line soon. Shacklebast gets the fastest lap for Virtual Racing Association. But Blue D is pitting there at the back. I don't think it'll come into effect though. Max van der Geest coming across the line now to start the very last lap of this Grand Prix. He is out of ERS as well. He pushed out all of it, and you can see it by the gap. 5.8 seconds. What a gap it is to one Yassine in second, who's currently losing that position though to XRT King. Slinky has not managed to get into DRS range of XRT King in front, which might just invite Daddlepad for a late... Oh my word, that would have been a super late move from the German, and he is not able to make it work just yet. There's still another straight or two to go for the German to maybe try and get the overtake. He doesn't know, of course, of Slinky's penalty situation, that it won't probably come into effect in the end. I think Heroes had a spin that might actually be the puncture that I was thinking about. Yes, it is left rear puncture, very clearly visible right there. But it is Max van der Geest who is looking to take home a very controlled victory after all the drama that has happened in the start and mid part of this race. He's been driving very assuredly, and after that spin from Sasha, there was no holding him up anymore at all for this race victory. 6.5 seconds is the gap that he managed to break out to one Yassine in second place, who will not be keeping that second place either because of XRT King, who's kept it penalty free for just this last bit. We'll help on board with him. No penalty there. He's taking this very safely, and he knows that he will be getting this into second place here. But we will be going on board now with the race winner of tonight. This is the breaking of obviously that GSP slight winning drought. And here we go. Max van der Geest is the winner here in Jeddah. He wins in dominant fashion in the end. 7 seconds in front. Slinky is out of the race. There's contact. Oh my word. This is actually incredible. On this final stage of the race, Slinky is out. King finishes second. One Yassine in P3. Playtendo finishes fourth for GSP. JR Sasha is in P5. Daddlepad without a wing. That was an incident involving the two for 100%. Daddlepad in P6. And GTZ Cortez, out of all this, manages to pick off P7 with one Belbelby in P8. Kazar, it looks he will be finishing ninth as well in this race out of all that. And it looks like the first point for Benelari with Brent in P10 after that unfortunate retirement for JR Slinky. What a shame. And this is the luck of Juventus Racing, I feel like, sometimes in these kinds of championships. The two ace drivers are very close together, with Grosjean in P12, which will become P11, Hero P12. We'll see now if the penalties will change anything about those positions. Grosjean picks up the fastest lap in the end. Blue D will be going into P13, which actually becomes 14th with Shacklebast not having a penalty in behind. Blue D is not able to pick up that fastest lap, but your race winner, VRT Max van der Geest. What an assured drive. I am very, very impressed with what he's been able to do. He's profited of that mistake from Sasha and has made it work properly for himself. What a drive from him. Congratulations. And the podium is out in full force. It's Max van der Geest on the top step of the rostrum, taking up the winner's trophy and lifting it into the night sky of Jeddah, with XRT King with the brilliant second place for Experience Racing Team. And the podium rounded off in the end by, we'll see the overalls very shortly. Very, very shortly indeed. The Red Bull's still spraying it, but I have seen it. It's a red overall. It's, of course, As1 Esports with Yassine on that third step of the podium and picking off another 10 points in their charge to try and pick off the most points possible. GSP Playtendo finishes fourth out of all this, with these late incidents and dramas happening around him. Juventus Racing Sasha, P5, after starting on pole. He's looked so assured as well, until, of course, that big mistake out of the quick chicane. Daddlepad P6 after that early incident with Sasha as well. So they finished fairly close on the track as well. Cortez, P7 for GTZ. Belleville be P8 in that other As1 Esports car. So very good stuff. Kazar picking off 2 points for Virtual Racing Association. And Brent rounding off the points for BenLRE. Grosjean with the fastest lap in 11th with his teammate from AC Sports. Team Ace. Apologies. Right behind, P12. Shacklebast 13th, Bloody 14th, Slinky out of the race along with, I think, BenLRE Dennis. No, he was lapped actually. So was Chico and then Sprain and Nout, the other 2 retirements. And that rounds off a very eventful race and a very eventful evening in CTC Division 2. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've done. No safety cars even, so just 25 laps full on of racing, which will now cause me to have a little drink. So cheers. That was very much needed. So thank you very much for everybody in this stream dropping in their support for the team. Virtual Racing Association, of course, picking up some points. I was going to say Victor's Racing Team coming out on top with Max van der Gies, and that'll be another 16 points added to their tally. GSP losing out ever so slightly, I would imagine, with their finishes. But that rounds us off very nicely for this stream. I thank you all for watching, and next week, perhaps we'll have our main commentator back for Tier 2 with Matteo. I'm not too sure yet, but of course, as we'll be heading into what will be Abu Dhabi, I believe, there is definitely a lot still to be made up and a lot still to be cleared on this circuit. And until then, I wish you a good evening and goodbye.